Hello, welcome to Hisably. I'm Jigger and I'll be your tutorial guide. Today I'm going to show you how to do daily reports. Daily reports are also referred to as Z reports, end of day reports, closing reports, shift closing, whatever you call it, will help you account for it. Daily reports can be customized to meet your store's unique needs. Let's do a simple daily report together in this video. First, to view all of your stores, you'll need to find the drop-down at the top right corner of the page, right next to your personal greeting. Mine says, "Hi Jigger." If you are logged in as an employee, you will only see one store here. Let's select the correct store from the list where we want to add a daily report. Second, we need to make sure we're on the correct store, and then opening the left sidebar and selecting the first blue button called Daily Report. Now we are in the Daily Report section. At the top of the page, you will see, first, you need to select the date and shift. Find the small calendar icon next to the word date under Business Report, and then click it. A new small window will open up with the calendar dates. The red highlighted box will always be the current day. If you're adding a report for a previous day, you will need to select which exact date you plan to do the report for. Now, the full date shows in the field beside the calendar icon. Underneath the date, the next step is to select the shift you'd like to begin the report for. By default, our system will read All Shift, which is the read-only function. Now you must select All Shift or the drop-down arrow beside it, and then select Start a New Shift Report. We will send you a pop-up asking if you are sure you would like to continue to create this shift. You can press OK here to create it. Now I have just started the daily report for demo store's first shift. From here, you are ready to do your daily report. In these few clicks, you should have noticed a quick flash with the Hisably logo spinning around. That's Hisably telling you it auto-saved the data you have created and entered, so you won't need to press the save button anywhere. Alright, so let's say my net sales today, according to my Z report, was $4,000. So we can enter that here in net sales. Next, we need to enter the sales tax you collected today. It's important to note that the sales tax field in the daily report will add to your net sales to create your total gross sales. This means your sales tax is not included in the $4,000 net sales here. Thus, you will need to enter it separately. For some businesses, that means manually calculating the sales tax by subtracting your net and gross. Hisably gathers this information and stores it in the Sales Tax sub-tab inside of your general ledger. Moving on, I'll be adding $100 from my total daily sales tax, so my gross sales becomes $4,100. So, depending on the structure of your Z report, you might have to calculate one or more fields to actually find your net or sales tax. Here, you'll always find your handy calculator tool on every page, so remember it's there for you. Now in the second section below, we can move on to refunds. If your report includes any, you can fill it in here.
If you accept check payments for customer transactions, you must add up the total and enter it here.
Up next is the field for credit card sales taken for the day. You can find your credit card total on your settlement report. Ours is $1,000 in credit card sales. Lastly, in this section, for those whom it applies, we've included customer credits and debits. Customer credits are when you sell goods on credit, for which you will receive payment later. Customer debits are when you actually receive the debt from the customer. Now we will move on to the third section. First, we need to add our cash purchases and expenses made today. In each drop-down for this section, you'll find the first option to Add New, to actually create your vendor. Or if you've previously created a vendor, you can simply select that vendor whom you have paid today. Adding a new vendor is a quick 5-step process. First, enter the vendor name. Second, choose if the vendor is a purchase or an expense. If you get confused about either selection, you can see the difference when selecting the department for each type of those vendors. 3. Select the department for your purchase or expense. You should select all the relevant departments that your vendor supplies, even if you're only paying for a specific department this time around. This is so you don't end up with too many of the same vendors as your list grows over time. Fourth, If you have an opening balance with this vendor previous to this invoice, you can add it here so it remains noted.
Fifth and lastly, the salesman's name and number can be added here. Make sure you finalize by clicking the Add Vendor button, and there you go, you've just added a new vendor.
So back to recording a cash purchase or cash expense in your daily report. Now, click again in the Select Vendor drop-down. You can now scroll down and select the vendor that you've just created. Then, the vendor name will show up in the field, so we can move on and enter the amount to account for as shown on the receipt or invoice that you have received. Be sure to record the exact dollar and change amount of cash spent on purchases and expenses.
I'm reporting $400 at Staples as an office expense. Once you have added a vendor successfully and have added the cost, you will see the total in this section update with the amounts you have typed.
Moving on, let's record some other cash transactions you've made today. To report those, you can use the Others section. There are two types of Others transactions. One is where you've received cash that adds to your daily cash flow, and two where you've paid cash that subtracts from your cash flow.
For example, if your store sells train tickets and the sale of tickets is not added to your POS-Z report, then that would be positive cash received. The same can be said about your operating town's trash bags if that applies. An example of negative cash can be an ATM machine deposit you made using register cash, or even filling a bottle redemption machine with cash from the business. In my case, I've received $100 from the sale of train tickets and $600 I've loaded into an ATM, which makes my Others field a negative cash balance of $500. That wraps up the fourth section. Now for the fifth section. It's time to see the summary of the business report. We have $4,000 in sales. Our cash expenses were $400. I collected $1,000 by credit card, and my Others transactions were negative by $500. So that means my cash drawer should have $2,200 in there. This $2,200 will be automatically calculated in the teal-colored subsection titled Cash to Account throughout filling out the sections 1 through 4. Next, we need to count the end of shift cash to enter it into the register cash section. So, I'll report $21.50 for my cash, which results in a $50 cash short. This report can be printed and can also be sent to the owner of the store. Using the data from the daily reports, we've generated detailed reports on the daily reports, your cash flow, and your employee over and short reports. We hope you've enjoyed this detailed step-by-step guide to creating your daily report on Hisably. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to our support team at www.hisably.com/contact.